Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Racha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Isaiah, the 62nd chapter. Fairly short chapter, but it's a continuation on the same theme, as we read of in 61 on the glory and salvation of Israel. Okay, and how the Lord is going to, we're no longer going to be forsaken, right? No longer going to be an undesirable people, but rather the nation to be desired. So this is Isaiah chapter 62, verse 1. For Zion's sake, where Zion represents Israel, will I not hold my peace? And for Jerusalem's sake, I will not rest. Right? So the Lord, or at least it's being said here, that until, right, for our sake, that we be not, consumed and we be not destroyed. So until we're good again, right, I will not hold my peace. And when you don't hold your peace, it means like you don't stop, right? You don't give it rest, whether you're talking or doing an action, right? As it says, for Jerusalem's sake will I not rest until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness. So, and when is that going to happen? That's going to happen when the Yahushua comes back, right? Because the actual manifestation of the righteousness going forth as brightness, when you look at the majority of our people today, they're not righteous. So righteousness isn't shining out of the nation of Israel right now, save from the Lord's elect. But once the Lord sends Yahushua back, he removes the cancer out of our nation and delivers the elect, and then through the elect, right, making them fully perfect, and then the rest of the nation coming through the loins of the elect, all Israel is going to be made righteous. Okay, and then shall that saying truly be fulfilled, when you can look at the nation as a whole and see righteousness flowing or shining out of the nation as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. Right, it's the same thing. It's making the same point here. Okay, until that point when we get delivered, like almost like we're radiating with salvation. Because once again, what does salvation look like? Salvation looks like us being, transformed, being made righteous, being made clean, holy, and desirable. And that is going to radiate off of us like an aura. And the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all kings thy glory, and thou shalt be called by a new name. Right? So this deliverance and this salvation is going to be witnessed, right? Because it's also going to be a world event. So all the nations, all their rulers, they're going to see that glorification of Israel transitioning from this kingdom into the next. And as it says, and thou shalt be called by a new name. Now, it doesn't mean we're no longer going to be called Israelites, but this new name or this refreshed name is going to expound more on that in the subsequent verses, right? So as to where we were known as forsaken, right, or desolate, the Lord is going to change that. Okay, and now we're no longer going to be known by the titles of abandonment, which the mouth of the Lord Yahweh shall name. Thou shalt also be called, or thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord. Now, when you look at, there's certain crowns out there, right? But when you look at a crown, like a majestic crown, just looking at the way it's designed, the precious stones that may be in it, the gold that is plated in, it's a beautiful thing to behold, right? Like people look at that like, damn, that crown looks nice. And so here, Israel's state is going to be likened onto this majestic crown, right, in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy God, right? Once again, a repetition of the same point here, which I believe a diadem is also something you put upon the head. Let's see, a diadem. Yeah, something like that. It's an ornamental headband, circlet, or open crown worn to signify royalty, authority, or status. See? So not only is it going to be beautiful and desirable, but it's also going to represent royalty. Thou shalt no more be termed. See, we're no longer going to be termed or named forsaken, because for a long period of time in our history, that's what we were likened as, right? A people forsaken of their God. Neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate, but thou shalt be called Hephzibah. And when we look into that word, it really just goes into almost like the opposite of forsaken or desolate. Here we go. So I believe that's Chap Tazaya Ba. And it says here, my delight is in her. Okay. So no longer are we going to be known as forsaken or desolate, but rather delighted of the Lord. As it says here, and thy land, Beulah, right? So let's look into that word, because our land was termed as desolate. Baal, and it says here, or Baalah, whichever the pronunciation is, but you can see here, to marry, rule over, possess, own, married wife, right? So the reason it's using these words to describe us and our land is because we were at one point known as the opposite of this, having forsaken our Lord and having to suffer the judgments of his wrath. And our land was known as desolate, abandoned. People are her children, as it were taken from her. But now, and she was forsaken of the Lord, right? But now the land being known as Beulah, or like a married wife, means that what? For the Lord Yahweh delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be married. That's why we're going to be known in our land by these names, because the Lord is going to delight in us once again as his people, and our land is going to be married. Now, what happens during a marriage? It's a union, right? One joins to another and they stay together, right? They're joined together. So by the Lord gathering us and bringing us back to our land, as it says, I believe in Baruch, let's go there real quick. We will be married back to our land, and our land will no longer be known as like a widow, all right, but now more as a married wife. Actually, hold on, not Baruch 4, Baruch 2. Right, Baruch 2:34, and I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not diminish. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, right? Because the Lord is going to delight in us, and they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. And that's why the land is now going to be known as a married wife, because we're no longer going to be separated from it, right? Or driven out. Verse 5, for as a young man marrieth a virgin, when a young man marries a virgin, he's excited, right? He's happy. He can't wait. So shall thy sons marry thee, right? So when the Lord gathers us and basically delivers us to take us back, right? The point in which we're going to get our land back, it's going to be an exciting thing. It's going to be like a young man with a very beautiful woman that's untouched and is all his. Okay. And what's also interesting about that is a woman that is a virgin is untouched. And so by the Lord, through these final prophecies, destroying and cleansing that land with fire, it's going to be rebuilt anew, like it's untouched for us. All that debauchery is going to be purged out of that land. It says here, and as the bridegroom rejoiceth over the bride, so shall thy God rejoice over thee. See? So just as, once again, the bridegroom rejoices over his bride, he can't wait. It's this beautiful woman. He's been waiting for so long to marry her. That's how the Lord is going to be about us. Verse 6, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem. And who are these watchmen? The prophets. Because we know that because the Lord set them up. And what is the job of a watchman? The job of a watchman is to watch for any warnings, any signs, and to alert the people about it. And that's the same thing that we're doing in this time, right? The prophets, every time they came in their different generations, they always played the role of a watchman. In fact, Habakkuk said, right, in Habakkuk, I believe it's 2, here it says, I will stand upon what? My watch, and set me upon the tower. Is that not what a watchman does? And I will watch, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. See, so the watchmen are representing the prophets that the Lord set up. O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. So that's why the Lord has put the Spirit on us to constantly give warning and constantly, alert and constantly inform our people on what's going on, what's happening, how does this line up with prophecy. Ye that make mention of the Lord Yahweh, keep not silence. Why is that? And give him no rest till he establish, until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. So until the Lord makes good on his promise to come and deliver us, we're not supposed to be, say, taking a break and just like, it is what it is. No, every day you should be, in the spirit, whether it's praying or, prophesying, doing the works, sighing and crying. All of these things are a constant crying, right? Even when you're vexed, right? It's a constant crying to the ears of the Lord. And that is not giving him any rest, but he wants it so. All right. Verse 8, and the Lord Yahweh hath sworn by his right hand and by the arm of his strength, surely I will no more give thy corn to be meat for thine enemies. Right. So no longer are we going to be subject or subservient unto our enemies, which are these other nations, to where we are serving them. Right. The things we labor for, they reap. And the sons of the stranger shall not drink thy wine, for which thou hast labored. Because right now, we still labor for these other nations, primarily Esau. So what is a modern day example of the sons of a stranger drinking our wine for which we have labored? Well, if our people, if Israel was to reap the actual benefits of the labor that we put in, we would be the richest people. But when you go and you're getting a salary, or you're getting paid whatever, minimum wage, or all of those things, the labor that you're doing is actually worth more than you're being paid. So in essence, you have these businesses, these corporations, that are getting the bulk of the money of the work you're doing. Okay, and that's why, for example, you'll see the CEO of a company barely does, like, he doesn't put in the same kind of labor you put in, and yet he's making, basically reaping all the money that because of the work you're doing, right? When you look at Amazon, for example, you need people in the warehouses, right? You need people, doing all these different things, that make the different parts of this system run. But who's reaping the bulk of it? Who's the actual millionaire or billionaire or whatever from this company? It's not you who are putting in the physical labor. It's those that are reaping it. Okay, that's like a modern day example of how they are drinking the wine that we have labored for, and we're getting but a sip, if that. Verse 9, but they that have gathered it shall eat it. So the Lord is like, no more are we going to be working and laboring for another, but we're going to get what's ours. We're going to get our fair share, right? So they that have gathered it shall eat it. You put in the work, you get it. And praise the Lord Yahweh. And this is referring to us in particular. And they that have brought it together shall drink it in the courts of my holiness. So the gathering here is an example of, like, one type of labor, right? Whether it's, during the harvest, right? Gathering the reaping and the gathering and bringing in and binding up, right? But here is just to represent labor, right? So what you labor for, you're going to get the benefits of it, not another nation. And what you've brought in or brought together, you're going to get to consume, right? In this case, drink, as it says, in the courts of my holiness. And the word courts there is like within the bounds of the Lord's holiness, right? Or his sanctuary, you can say, which is what? It's going to be a safe place for us. Verse 10, go through go through the gates, prepare ye the way of the people, cast up the highway, gather out the stones, lift up a standard for the people. So this is painting a visual of basically like a welcoming of the people of the Lord back home, right? It's saying go prepare, like move all the stones out the way, clear out a road, make sure everything is good. Today, like you would say, roll out the red carpet, right? And lift up that standard, which goes back to like a flag or a banner, to let it be known, like, hey, announcing, hey, these are the people of the Lord coming through. Behold, the Lord Yahweh hath proclaimed unto the end of the world, say ye to the daughter of Zion, behold, thy salvation cometh. And that's what we're saying, right? That's what we're pushing, that, hey, when we talk about the end, you know, and the prophecies that are coming to pass, that is a proclamation of the salvation that is on its way. Behold, his reward is with him. And who is that? Yahushai. Okay, sent by the Father Yahweh. He's coming with his reward and his work before him, or his recompense before him. And so what is he going to do? In Revelation, it tells you that, right? He's going to come and reward every man as his work shall be. So if your reward is destruction, you will be destroyed. If your reward is salvation, you will be delivered. And they shall call them the holy people. Who? Israel. They're going to call Israel the holy people, not ninjas, not beasts, not violent, racist criminals, but rather the holy people, chosen of the Lord, the redeemed of the Lord. And thou shalt be called sought out, meaning a desirable place, a city not forsaken. So the Lord is going to flip, right, the script, and take the undesirable city, the people that were known as a reproach, a proverb, and a byword, and flip that to the point where the world is going to recognize us as the chosen people of the Lord and a desirable city and people who have our God with us. As it says, a city not forsaken. So with that, that brings us to the end of the book of Isaiah, the 62nd chapter. Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.